Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly,
and you're listening to Motherhood,
not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea.
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode. For anyone that's actually watching this rather than listening, you will see that we are very festive. Got my naughty pillow. We're getting into baby. That was quite good. Hello. Yeah, so we are getting in the Christmas spirit, aren't we? So,
And today is all about Christmas. I think there's quite a lot of things we want to touch on. But first, guys, we have been sent an advent calendar with a kinky difference. Love Honey sent me and Tash a Love Honey advent calendar. I'm not gonna lie, I've never had an advent calendar like this. I'm normally just a chocolate kind of gal.
same, but I've been converted.
But we are. Tash has opened hers already. Mine, as you can see, is fully unopened. Hence, whilst we're using mine and not Tash's. So we thought we would open it with you because honestly, like lots of you are obviously going through breakups or even in relationships, and you want to add a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thought this was a bit fun and a bit different. So what do we do? Do we start with number one?
Yeah. Okay, go on. Open door number one. I'm going to say from experience, this is a great calendar.
So number one, guys, we have what I think is a bullet.
It's very powerful.
I hope you appreciate you're getting live reviews right now as well from Tash.
We've spoken about these before, haven't we?
Do you know what? Someone posted one of these on my Facebook group and was like, just found this in the field.
You're joking.
Butt plug. So guys, I believe this is a butt plug. It's a... So it's purple and shiny, and
In other words, you shove it up your arse and then that's what they see, and it's very pretty and they're good, so try it out. This is the little magic wand.
it comes highly recommended by Tash as well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, whether you're on your own or with a partner, it works.
Hey,
Don't be judgmental about the size. It works wonders. It's
not
very
all about the
powerful.
size, is it?
It's about how you use it. Yeah. If you can't afford the advent calendar, this would probably be a recommendation to get individually. Yeah. There you go, guys. The wand. Do you think anyone has this advent calendar and opens it one day at a time?
No. What's the point? I am holding in my hand some anal beads.
Yes. And also, the bullet can go in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Once, me and my grandma watching this.
Sorry. Can we just take a moment? You're holding anal beads once, me and my grandma.
I lived with my grandma for 2 years.
Did you?
I did, and we used to have a lot of fun. Like
Evidently.
Well, we watched this film. I can't remember what film it is, and they're talking about thunder beads, which are anal beads. And I remember my grandma being like, "What's thunder beads?" And I had to be like, "Grandma, they're anal beads." And when I say we were on the floor, like, you know, that crying,
Well, you can't breathe.
so anal beads just forever remind me of my grandma.
What is number 24, guys?
Fred. This is the womanizer. So it's a purple number.
It's a clit sucker.
It's a clit sucker. So it's meant to be incredible for clitoral orgasms.
Yeah, so, yeah. Highly recommended calendar. What an amazing way to start your Christmas.
And spice up your relationship if you've hit a rut or if you're on your own. There's plenty.
I mean, I'm telling you now, if I was on my own, this would be the first thing I'd be buying myself for Christmas. We wanted to talk about Christmas, didn't we?
We've had so many questions, like asking what our setups are, how we're feeling. I think there's lots of different topics surrounding Christmas, aren't there?
Yeah. Have you now had confirmation that you will be having the boys on Christmas
I've
Day?
got them on Christmas Day.
and then you're on your...
So I've got them Christmas Eve, I've got them Christmas Day. We haven't worked out the logistics, whether they're going to him on the night of Christmas Day or whether it'll be Boxing Day, but they will be going there for Boxing Day. And then they'll also be spending some more time down there because it is far away.
Yeah.
The problem is it's his weekend, like that weekend. It's his weekend with the kids, but it's too much for them to go back and forwards.
Yeah.
So at the moment, what we're thinking is that I'll go down there, take them out for the day, because I'm the problem. I don't want to be away from my kids for a week, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. So I'm either going to go down there, take them out for a day, or potentially go and get a hotel, let them come stay with me for the night.
That'd be cute.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be like different. I don't want that amount of time away from them. I'm not going to do that. And yeah, so that's, well, the finer details need to be sorted out. But as it stands this year, I've got them on Christmas Day. Yeah, I've still got anxiety over like Boxing Day. Not entirely sure what I'm doing. As it stands, I think my boyfriend's days are similar. So I may be going to spend Boxing Day with him, which would be really nice.
Yeah,
if I don't have the kids.
I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That works really, really well. I know that like a lot of people have messaged us kind of, you know, asking like how we organise our setup, what our setups are going to be for Christmas. Christmas is that time of year, I think, for any single parent where you kind of dread that, am I going to be with my kids? Am I not? If I'm not with my kids, what will I do?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's not just like the anxiety, will I have them on Christmas, will I not? It's like that, this is going to be completely different to anything I've ever experienced. Like even, I'm sat here, it's like what, halfway through November, I've got my Christmas tree up, one of my trees up, not doing the other one yet. And I even got like emotional as we were decorating it because it was very different. Although to be fair, I do normally do that tree on my own, but it was just like the whole concept of like, I was going in the garage and getting everything out like on my own, carrying these impossibly heavy boxes and setting it all up. And I just felt like I felt really sad, not because I miss him or because I want him back or anything like that, but I think it's because it's so different. And when you are a single parent, I feel like wherever you are in the year, if you were to ask a single parent what's one thing you're fearing as a single parent, majority of people would say Christmas or birthdays and things like that. And I feel like I've done so many of the other milestones now. This is like one of the last ones I've got to tick off. And I'm not gonna lie, I have been dreading it. Like I am absolutely dreading it. Even the morning, just, I know it'll be amazing, but it's different on your own, isn't it? It's all on you.
Yeah, like obviously I had Christmas last year on my own. And I just wanted to make sure that I did little things that were new traditions. So I could, instead of, look, you can look at it two ways. Like with anything, when it comes to divorce and separating, you can either dwell and be like, oh, like I can't believe like I got to do that last year and I'm never going to have that anymore. Or you can be like, look, it's different, so let's make new memories. So I went and bought all new decorations and I made my tree our new tree rather than I bought this with him. And look, I know also it is expensive, people aren't always in that position to be able to do it, but even just trying to think of something new or different that you can do with your babies that you've never done before.
This year my kids was old, well of course they're older stuff for you, but really wanted to help decorate the tree. I'm not gonna lie, my anxiety was high because the tree that's up is my pretty tree. He did such an amazing job. Like, he has such a good eye for it. Milo, on the other hand, was like, destroyer. They both wanted to help. And I was like, I've never really had them properly help do a tree before. So that's kind of like become our thing. And it was just it was a really lovely moment.
That's nice.
I think the thing I'm struggling with the most this year is with Theo being in school. Is like, prior to all this, I could go for the whole of December and go and do Christmassy stuff whenever I wanted. Now, obviously, I'm limited to weekends. Yeah, I'm finding it hard because he's in school. I can't just take him in the week. I might do the odd thing if I have to pull him out of school one day. But at the moment, like, I have one weekend in December with the kids. One, because I've got them the way the weekends fall. Like I've got them on Christmas Day, and like I think Christmas Eve's my weekend. And I think it's okay to feel sad. And I think feeling sad about that is totally valid, because like that's one thing like I have struggled with, one weekend to fit in like our Christmas plans. I feel like before, like every year before, those weekends leading up to Christmas for me are all about building up that magic. And I feel like kids are only this little for such a short period of time. Yeah. This age is magic. They believe everything. And it makes me feel incredibly sad that I won't get that with them. I have one weekend with them, and I know I'm trying not to obsess over the fact, like I'm trying to make that weekend as magical as I possibly can. But at the same time, there's this horrible thing going around in my head, like you have one weekend with your kids in December. And I guess a lot of that, I feel a lot of resentment towards your ex for taking that away. And I'm trying to step away from feeling angry about that. And again, trying to focus on what I can do with them. But and just anyone else, obviously, if you're like me and you only have your kids really every other weekend, I don't even get them for a full weekend. Like this is what makes me more sad, which, you know, is I literally get them from midday on a Saturday. It's not even a full weekend. So I'm really going to try and push for that to be a proper full weekend, because I need that time with my kids at Christmas. So it makes me sad thinking about it. But I just think, like anyone in the same situation as me, please know, like if you are feeling sad about it, it's valid. Like I've cried a lot of tears over this, and I think that's okay. I'm trying to rein it in and focus on how I can make that weekend as magical as possible.
I think that's it, isn't it? Like I've said before, like yes, you can be upset. Yes, like you're going to be upset, but you've got to just work with what you can. So it's making sure that one weekend is going to be amazing. Like, you know, it's going to be amazing because that's sadly all you've got. So you work with what you've got. Yeah. Like, it's like when we speak to people and they're like, I just don't know how I'm going to do Christmas without my kids. Like, there's no easy way around it. Like, if you don't get to be with your kids on Christmas Day, there's nothing anyone can say to make you feel better. It is shit, but all you can do is do what you can with them when you've got them. Like, if that means that on Christmas Day you're going to be really sad and be upset and crying, sadly, at least they don't see that.
And it's like what we said before, just take that day hour by hour, and in your head you know it's going to be a hard day. Like, I'm dreading the day where that is my reality and I don't have my kids on Christmas. I don't know how I will physically cope with that, because that is a really big thing. I think the big thing for me is like just mourning how different Christmas is, but trying to just bring the magic. Like, for this year, we're doing the other tree. I'm going to make it all about the kids. I want to do like a fun elf Grinchy tree, like really go out there. I want to make my house like a magic Christmas. Mm-hmm. I want it to look like Christmas has been thrown up in my house. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it does make you appreciate that time more with the kids. And I'm really feeling that at the moment. I feel like, I don't know, it's been a substantial period of time now for us. I feel like we are very much in our groove. Yeah. I don't know, like the kids, they're amazing at the moment. Like, we've been doing a starter and they've been helping out so much more. And like Theo says something to me, he goes, Mummy, we're a team. And that's really what we are. We've really come into our own as a little team. And I think when you kind of all pull together, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm very appreciative of the time we are all together at the moment, and
that's what I think you need to concentrate on.
That's exactly it.
I think like you said, it's very valid to feel upset and to mourn what Christmas used to be like, but I made a conscious effort because last Christmas was my first Christmas on my own, and you can go two ways about it. You can either sit there and be really sad, or you can choose to make new memories. So I made sure that I went out and bought all new decorations, and the tree that I did with the kids was our new tree. Like, everything was new, and I know it's quite expensive to go and buy like all new decorations. So if you can't do that, then just try and think of like little new traditions that you've never done before.
Like make decorations with your kids. I've seen loads of stuff come up on my Instagram, like with modelling clay, and then you can paint it together. It can literally be anything.
It can even be like, you know, decorating Christmas cookies or new traditions on Christmas Eve, like you find a movie that the kids have never watched and that becomes like your Christmas Eve movie. Or do you know what I mean? Just something to make it become more about you and your kids. Like it is, like you've said, I think when you become a single parent, one of the hardest parts of it is probably Christmas, because it is the most family orientated day. But I think we also need to remind ourselves it's one day.
I know. I agree.
And when your kids are young, they don't know which day is Christmas. So anyone listening that is not with their kids on the 25th of December, you make the 23rd or the 27th or whatever a day it is, that is your Christmas day. Like change the fucking day at home. Like who cares? If your kids are under the age of like, I don't know, 8 or probably even 10, like Christmas can be on a different day.
And I think that's it. I think, and look, Christmas is all about the kids. And I think whilst it might be a day that we're going to struggle with, the kids are just going to be happy no matter what. Like they are, because Christmas is magic, and hopefully the people they're spending it with make it magic and have them at like the forefront of that. Like that's the big thing for me. I want them to only have like these incredible magical memories of it. And it's obviously scary when you feel like you're not the one in control of doing that, you know?
I think something else that I want to touch on, especially for single parents that probably feel like a financial burden as Christmas is like dawning on us. I feel like we've put so much pressure on ourselves to get our kids like the biggest, best toy or have so many things to open. Your kids won't necessarily remember how many presents they got, how big they were, or know how much you spent on them. It is about making it magical, about the little footprints that you leave, that Santa came into their house. And, you know, try and remember maybe what it was like for you when you were younger, because without social media, there was less pressure financially. And I just feel like you can go to these really good shops that do presents that are, you know, I went into B&M the other day and they just have like a section and all the toys are like literally £5 and under. It's like little Christmassy like painting things that the kids can just paint. Like my kids love doing that, and it was £4. Like you don't have to put such pressure on yourself to go and buy a toy that's 80 quid that your kids would play with for like 3 months and then break it.
I think as well, we think our kids want all these toys, but really what they want is us. They want us and our attention, and that those memories and that special time with you is what I look back at my childhood. It's my Christmas memories are us taking our pillowcases that were filled with presents into my mum and dad's bed and sitting on the bed and opening them. I couldn't for the life of you tell you what any one of those presents were. But I remember going into my mum and dad's room. I remember opening my tin-foiled Satsuma, which was just like a tradition. My parents used to wrap up a Satsuma in tinfoil, and we used to get one of those, what's it called, selection boxes. And those are my memories of it. I could not tell you what I got. And those are my magic memories. And I think we need to sometimes step back and realise it's not about what's under the tree. It's about that quality time they are spending with you.
Yeah, definitely. Like I give my kids chocolate milk on Christmas Eve before bed. They literally think that is like the best thing ever. Like you've just got to remember what kids actually do really appreciate. You could wrap just loads of stuff around the house probably, especially like babies. Like don't put pressure on yourself, kids under 2. Like they haven't got a clue. Last year, my first Christmas on my own, I took a load of presents from the loft that used to be Blake and Ivy's, like old toys, and I wrapped them for Rome. And all he did was play with the wrapping paper.
Of course.
So, you know, just be kind to yourself. And sometimes it's a hard time, but try and make it as, you know, as best as you can. You've just got to work with what you've got. We wanted to actually talk about someone that I feel like a lot of you probably dislike. He's really annoying.
Then you might feel like the pressure to do it.
Yeah, he's annoying. You don't really like him being in your house, and you regret
about our exes.
and you regret ever introducing him to the kids. But once you've introduced him, you're pretty much screwed for at least 10 years, and that is the famous Mr. Elf on the Shelf. I wish I never introduced him. I'm not going to lie, there have been so many days where I'd go downstairs by like, I don't know, when's he come? On the 1st of December? Oh my God. We'll get to like the 16th and they'll come downstairs and be like, oh, what's he done? And I'm like, fuck. And I'm literally like, be like, oh my God, guys, look over there, distract them, grab him from like the place that he was at the night before and just throw him, lob him somewhere. And I'd be like, oh my God, guys, and look, he's fallen on the floor. And they'd be like, ah. So like, if you want to follow me for good Elf on the Shelf tips, I'm not the account to do it. I'm the account that makes you happy that your Elf on the Shelf is shit. However, I saw you came up with a different idea, which I think I might have to incorporate into the house.
Last year, we were having a little bit of trouble with like, I think Theo was struggling with being a big brother and Milo was at an age where he was becoming a bit irritable, you know, getting on his nerves and stuff. And I don't know, I don't really love the idea of elves being naughty. I don't know, I just feel like... some kids will be like, well, the elf did this, so I'm going to do this. But they really understand. They don't really get the concept of like trying to encourage. I understand that I think sometimes we can think too deeply into stuff, and I don't think we should take the fun away from Christmas and being a kid. But I just felt like it was a time that I could actually turn it into something positive. So we did the kindness elf. He was called Eddie, and he arrived in exactly the same way as any elf did. And the things I set him up doing were things to encourage acts of kindness. So I am going to share some of this. I'm going to make some reels for you guys because literally I've had so many requests. Can you do this before December? I keep promising I will. Next week, I'm going to film content. I'm going to set up the elf doing different things for you and I'll get that out because I know loads of you want to do it. But for example, when he arrived, I had this set up and I think it was like Buzz, Woody and all the aliens. They were like stood round and like the elf had landed in this basket. And it was like a letter to say that every day in December in this basket you're going to fill it with foods from our cupboard to take to a food bank because there's children who don't have food. So his first day he had to go and choose an item of food from our cupboard and put it in the basket. So every day, as well as the elf coming, he would have to put in an item of food from the cupboards, and then we took that to the food bank just before Christmas, which is a really nice thing to do. As well, like, it made me feel good, as well as like doing something for the kids. It made sure I was actively doing something for people who are less fortunate than us at this time of year. But it just helped encourage his behaviour. And I think the thing we forget is that's not boring to kids. Like, they were still in different funny setups every morning, and Theo would look forward to coming down and being like, where's Eddie today? Like, what's he doing? Like, so for example, he was on the floor cleaning up a mess. It was like, today you're going to help your mummy clean up. And it was little things like there was one where there was a bouquet of flowers, and it was like, you can give this bouquet of flowers to someone of your choice to make them smile. So he chose to give it to his nursery teacher. Just like lots of little acts of kindness. You know, even things like there was one where it was saying nice things about yourself when you look in the mirror or to someone else. I just think when you've got things that they're actively doing every day, I noticed the difference in Theo over that period of time. And I just think it's a really positive way to do it. Like, everyone wants to encourage their child to have good manners and to be thoughtful and think about others. And I just think, like, if you can utilise the elf in a really positive way. So yeah, this isn't to take away and be like, anyone who does do the naughty elf, like, what are you doing?
No, because I'm even trying to think right now of certain ones that I did that my kids loved last year that I could maybe change and turn into a positive. So I once did.
I thought it would be.
I once did like a load of shoes, like a train, and then I've got 2 elves, and this year I've got 3. Don't ask me why, because I've got 3 kids and they all need an elf. And they were all sitting in the shoes each, and they just thought it was hilarious. But if all I'd need to do is add a note and be like, we'd be so happy if you put your shoes away when you come in.
I did one with shoes as well, like that last year, and it was donate an old pair of shoes that no longer fit you to a charity shop.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to do. So yeah, make sure you're following me. I mean, I'd like to think if you're listening, you do follow me. But I will share that for you guys because I just think it's a really nice, positive thing to do in December.
Yeah, I love that. I think that also touching on like Christmas, and for those listening that aren't going through that kind of like co-parenting relationship and they're not concerned about not being with their kids, but just generally, I think Christmas also comes like the family politics and, you know, whose parents are we going to? And then if you've got step parents and then you need to see your husband's parents and my parents and then my brother and my sister. And I think sometimes you get so stressed about who needs to be where for Christmas Day and then where we're going to go on Boxing Day that I feel like adults have become like
resentful,
dread Christmas. I know it is about the kids, but then you've got to get like all like, oh, don't
feel like you have to make everyone happy.
Yeah. And I think that and I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not yet a mother-in-law, but I feel like when you're a child, your parents are your family. But when your child grows up and gets married and has kids, that is their new family. Your parents are still your family, but your family are your kids and your partner. So I feel like anyone listening to this that ever feels pressure to do something that they don't want to do, remember to put your family first and hope that you and your partner are on the same page, because I think it is very normal to have those kind of like arguments of, oh, well, we went to your parents last year, so can we go to my parents this year? And it is that horrible dynamic that you kind of then lose the whole meaning of like, yeah, Chris, it's a difficult one. I know that it's very easy for me to say, don't do what you don't want to do and just stick with your family, because sometimes you need to do right by other people just to please other people. Pop to your mum, then you've got to quickly go to your dad, and then it's your step pet. Like, it is, I feel like adults get like the brunt of Christmas while you're making it so special for your kids.
Yeah.
It then becomes quite hard, especially if you don't like your in-laws.
Also, another thing, I think it links in a bit with what Tash was saying around Halloween, but like I feel like nowadays on Instagram we do see people doing these really elaborate like door displays of like candy canes and giant baubles. But you do, and I just think we need to just take the pressure off ourselves. Do what makes you happy. If that's one tree or if it's a few sparkles, like literally just focus on you. Like, your kids do not care if they come home and they see like a massive arch outside your front door.
Also, I think it's things like Christmas Eve boxes. Don't put pressure on yourself to, one, even do them. If you've never done them, you don't need to. For those that do them, good for you. But I think there are ways of doing it reasonable, really easy. There's loads of companies that like sell like a certificate and a letter from Santa and a bit of and a bit of reindeer food. So you don't have to do it so extravagantly. Remember that what you see on Instagram, and I don't want to sound hypocritical because I will show things that I'm doing, but you've also got to realise is that people like us and other influencers that you see are creating content purely to inspire people that want to do those things. It doesn't mean you have to do those things. And if you don't do them, then you're doing wrong by your child.
Can I just say, though, on the Christmas Eve box, there was a couple of years ago I did it and I didn't even get round to going through it. I actually find a 1st of December box.
I saw that and it does make more sense.
It makes more sense. You put the Christmas pajamas in. Like, you put a few Christmas drawing books in, you're more likely to get through it, that your kids are going to get far more use, because I find once you get to Christmas Eve, you've literally got Christmas Boxing Day, and then really, are you really doing Christmassy things? Most of us know, maybe a couple of days afterwards. I just feel like if you're going to make the most of your money's worth of Christmas bits, I'm going to, not even going to do a formal box, but I'm going to give them some bits on the 1st of December.
To be honest, the things that I put in my Christmas Eve box are not things for them to do. It is literally to show them that they've been good and they will be getting presents the next day. I don't fill it with loads of toys and this, that and the other. I do pretty much say like, oh look, you've got our certificate.
Something like before, like with a hot chocolate thing. My kids,
So that's
hot chocolate.
That's what I do. I put a cup, like a Christmassy cup.
Yeah.
Probably like I'll give them. I've got these like cute plates, like Christmas plates from the works, really cute with like a picture of a
I've got
on it and sprouts. So it's things like that they will be using the day after. I really like the idea of like a December box, but for me, I personally feel like I'm just buying more stuff
For the sake of it.
for the
You know what?
sake of it.
Buy stuff you can reuse. So I got all the Christmas stuff out to do the tree. I found these cups that I bought last year with elves on the top. I found these little Christmas teddies from last year. They're going straight back in. Like, they don't know.
100%.
So if you're doing it, don't buy stuff like that's going to get used. Like, buy stuff you can literally pull out every single year. So I'll probably get them a couple of colouring packs and maybe a new Christmas book. I'm not spending lots saying it, but you get stuff you can literally use again. I found it. I was like, you genius.
Yeah, the works do like that pack of books for like, I think it's like £5 or something like that. They're Christmassy. Shove them in a box, read it a few times, and put it back in the box for next year. Yeah. So yeah, it's just about realizing who puts the pressure on. You do. So choose not to, and just enjoy spending time together whenever it is that you've got your kids.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's about.
Another thing I'm finding hard, actually, as a single parent with Christmas coming up, I like Christmas events and Christmas dues and childcare.
Yeah.
Because obviously with our split, all these things seem to happen in a week. And I've literally, I feel like people are going to stop asking me to go to things soon, but I've had to say no to every single one, because if I'm being completely honest, I can't afford to get a babysitter every time. It makes the whole thing just insanely expensive by the time, I've even got there. And that's one thing I feel a bit sad about, because don't get me wrong, like for me, my priority will always be my kids, and that will always be the forefront of my decisions. In my head, I'm thinking £60 is a lot of money for me to spend on a babysitter for a night. I'd rather that go towards meeting Santa or whatever it is, So that's kind of like where my brain's at the moment, because I am having to rebudget and look at things because my financial situation is incredibly different now.
Yeah.
But I'm finding it means I'm having to say no to a lot of things, which makes me sad, especially again, like Instagram, and also seeing like other influencers going to all these fun events that I'm meant to be at. I can't help but feel like jealous and gutted, and look, maybe my situation may be different next year, I don't know, but I just feel sad that I don't get that like festivity. Like, I think there's one thing I'm going to try and go to. I'm going to try and work it so the kids are at my mum's and I just go back to my mum's and stay there. So they're just leaving after. Yeah. Because otherwise I don't get to do any of that.
Yeah. And I think that comes back down to kind of like general co-parenting. Again, I might be speaking out of turn for some people, but generally speaking, I feel like the mum does have the children more. And it is that kind of like feeling that you are very much that main caregiver parent, while the dad can kind of do whatever he wants as he wants, and then every other weekend he just plays dad for a few nights. So
it's hard.
Sadly, it comes with the package of being the default parent, which we've discussed before.
And look, that's not the case for everyone. Like, I know dads who do 50% of the and they're making the same sacrifices that we are. But obviously, like, my situation isn't that. And at this time of the year, when I know full well, like, any occasions coming up, he's probably going to get to go to all of them without even having to remotely think, who's looking after my kids?
Yeah.
Hi, it's me.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's fun. No, not funny, but like it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Because here we are in one breath saying how we don't get to do this and we don't get to do that because we're the ones that have to look after the kids. And then the minute the kids aren't with us at Christmas, we're like, I want to die.
I'm sitting here and I think those things are unfair, But would I change my situation of not having my kids the amount I have them? Absolutely not.
You just want a bit. You just wish you had that opportunity.
Yeah,
which I get.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, my kids will come first over everything. Every single time.
Yeah.
You know, I would never want them to feel like they're a burden to me, because they're not, and they are absolute priority. But at the same time, it does sometimes feel unfair.
Yeah. No, I really do get that.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's go into a few emails. You got one? Let's do it.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
First of all, love your podcast. I don't even know if mine is a question or a topic. Could be both. But my partner and I split up 10 months ago. The reason was due to the constant bickering and arguments. Although I feel like justification always feels like you're being naive. But all I will say is the hardest thing of trying to learn and cope with moving on is the fact there has been no third party or any sort of abuse or really significant reason to split. Anyway, he moved out a week later, and the first few months got quite nasty just in terms of the finances and stuff in the house, etc., etc. Fast forward 10 months on, there's still been no other people on both sides. His Facebook status and picture is still of me, and as it stands now, I have my daughter all week, then he has her on the weekend. One of those days on the weekend, we actually spend the day as a family unit. It's now getting to the point where I feel like I can't move forwards, but at the same time, I'm unsure how long it takes for someone to know whether you want something to try and progress or not. It massively feels like it's having his cake and eating it situation. My question or advice I'm after is, do you think there's a time limit where you have to say to yourself, fucking hell, hum, move on? Or has it got to the point these sharing days out is actually not necessarily healthy and there needs to be better boundaries made? P.S. I have asked him multiple times what's happening, and he's like, I don't know, or nothing has changed for me. But ultimately, I think I need to draw the line, as this setup is having an impact on me so much because it's almost like a false hope. And also, the longer it goes on, the more normal my daughter thinks this is. She's only 2. I think that's interesting. I think I completely understand where you're coming from, and the fact you've asked him, like, what's going on, and he's saying nothing's changed. It does sound like he's having his cake and eating it. Like, fair enough if you were using that time to maybe try and reconnect and re-explore and try and make it work. But it sounds like he's kind of having that time away from you. I don't know.
I personally feel like if there's no third party on either side, you're both still single, there's not like a lack of trust or betrayal. I would personally do everything I can to work on it.
But if she's saying,
but how much have they really communicated?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Have you tried therapy together? Have you really tried to find out what the breakdown in your relationship was? What would happen if you actually just started going on dates again? Like, the fact that it's been that long and neither of you are with anyone, I would want to make sure I had tried everything before, like, yeah, I personally,
I agree. I think it's worth trying, but I think if he's explicitly like not wanting to try and move forwards and he just wants this setup, then you do need to put some boundaries in place. So I think you need to communicate. And you need to be like, look, like, we're either trying to make this work and give it a go, or not. It can't just be like a middle ground of like coexisting, but you're not really communicating about what's going on. You're either trying and working really hard to make it work, or you need to step back and you need to set some boundaries. Because I agree, like, that time you're spending as a family, if you're not trying to work on it, that is confusing.
And it's also kind of pointless.
Yeah, I agree. Surely that time is to make you stronger. So I definitely think you need to just have some honest and frank conversations about
it's the thing is, sometimes people don't really understand what they need to do to make something work without a bit of guidance or help from someone like a professional. I would personally kind of almost like lay your cards on the table and say, like, this is where we're at. We've got 2 options. We can either try and make this work, go to therapy and see if there's something that is still there. And if that's not what you're wanting to do, because both of you need to be on the same page, if that is not what you're wanting to do, then something needs to change, because this isn't this isn't a way to kind of like continue. Like it's not going to allow
when one of you does meet someone.
Yeah. Or it's probably stopping you guys from meeting someone because you're in limbo.
Yeah.
You need to move away from what you're doing.
You either need to go all in or you need to step out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for a weekly podcast. I've never found anything more relatable. My story is a long one, so buckle up. Me and my partner were together for a couple of years and we broke up when our son was 2.5. He's now 6. Our relationship was full of him being untrustworthy. He had a massive group of friends who were mainly girls, and they would go out as a group and always post videos of them sat on his lap, etc., which he never saw as an issue with. Wow. I mean, the fact that he was like, go out with a group of girls, I was like, what? That's strange. I found messages on his phone talking to other women, and one night I had a feeling he was with another woman. A few weeks before this, our son was in hospital and he was very off, not supportive of me, and when our son was so unwell and I had a feeling something was up, so I hacked his phone and found messages to another woman that had been going on for months. I left him that day and moved back to my mum's, but on that evening I had a feeling he was with her, so me, my mum and my sister went out to see if we could find him. We did, with her. Oy. Stupidly, we got back together not long after. Love is blind, hey? When we moved into our house together and things were looking up until he started to go out on benders, not coming home until early hours, he developed a big drug problem. I tried to help him in a few times until I realised I had done enough and was putting him before me and our son, so I left. Around 2 months after, I found out he was seeing someone that I know and went to school with. I was devastated and completely heartbroken. They moved in together and after 8 months, she was pregnant. I had to allow her to be around our son as they were living together, and this truly broke me. During their relationship, he often told me he still loved me. Having a child with her is not what he wanted, and that he could only imagine having children with me. And at one point we did sleep together. I know, it's stupid. Fast forward to now, I've not managed to meet anyone solid. I was dating someone, but it didn't develop, and I believe this is because I do deep down still love him. He isn't with her anymore and has both children, ours and theirs, every other weekend. We co-parent really well. He comes to football training every week with our son, and we text and talk a lot, mainly about our son. My predicament is I want to go away for around a month with our son, and he is refusing. He said it isn't fair on him. However, I couldn't leave my son for longer than a few days either, so I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I can't take him away, nor can I go without him. And when talking to my ex about this, he's saying, let's get back together then. And I do honestly think he's serious. He always told me he's never stopped loving me, etc. However, I don't think I could ever trust him again. I also don't think getting back together will solve the problem of going away, as he still has his daughter here, who he couldn't leave for a long time. But I also feel I haven't moved on properly because deep down I do still love him and compare new partners to him. Sorry, this is only a drop in the ocean of our relationship. What would you do? I feel if we get back together, I'd have to accept everything that he has done, introducing another woman to our son, having another child, the cheating in our relationship, and the potential drug problem. Could you forgive, wipe it clean, and try again? Then know if it doesn't work, you tried. I'm a lot stronger now. I've healed. I feel healed, and I know anyone I meet needs to add to my life, not to be my whole life. Sorry for the essay. Thanks for reading.
Firstly, does it have to be a month you go away for? Because that is a long time.
Yeah.
Is there any way you change that? Because I understand that. If I look at it the other way around and my ex was offered to take my kids away for a month, I'd be like, absolutely not. And you're saying you can see it from his point of view. So I do think that's quite just.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like with everything that's just been read, I feel like that's probably the least.
Oh, 100%. I've just gone to the easiest.
I feel so strongly about, and look, some people would be like, who are you to give your opinion? But she's asked for it, so I'm giving it. Don't go back. What are you going back to? Not only did he cheat on you, but he's had a long enough relationship to have another child. Like, you think you love him, you don't love him. And the sad part is, and I'm sorry to be a bitch, but he cannot love you if he has done that to you. You deserve to be with someone that respects you, which he doesn't do. Someone that puts you, above
as a priority,
which he doesn't do, someone that you can trust, which you cannot do. There is no foundation at all to a relationship. You can say, should I just wipe the slate clean and start a game? But how can you trust him? He's cheated on you multiple times. He's had a relationship with another woman. You deserve so much more than what he is able to give to you.
And I think part of it is feeling scared to let go. I think it's scary when that person is all you've known, particularly when you have a child with someone. Look, I can't imagine there's many people who don't have that fairy tale in their head when they have a child with someone. No one intentionally wants to, be in a situation that's difficult and being, not in that solid unit. But I think Tasha's right. I do personally, but if this was my friend who was telling me this, I'd be like, you deserve so much better. Look, I know there's people who can work through things and can build that trust. If it was me, I know I couldn't. I know it's not just like a one-off incident. I feel like there's been numerous things that have broken that trust, that have been disrespectful, where honestly, I just feel like you have been basically bottom of the pecking order. Sorry to be like up front, but you've not been a priority. I feel like he's made a list of mistakes, and I feel like he's almost got this expectation that you'll always still just be there. And when it's because at the moment he can just pick you up when he wants and throw you back out what happens when the next girl comes along who is more exciting and shinier. And
the thing is, the sad part is he ended up being with someone else and had a kid with her, meanwhile cheated on her with you and was disrespectful to her as well. It shows the type of person he is. He obviously will do that with anyone he's with. Don't let that be you. I think that any friend of yours that really has your best interest in heart will tell you that it's time to really close that door, try and move on and work on yourself to then allow someone good in your life.
I agree. And I think what you guys got to realise when you're listening to this is when Tash and I give our advice on these things, we're doing it as if we were talking to a friend. What will we tell our friend if they came to us and said, here's the situation?
Yes, I know sometimes we get really deep and passionate about it.
Because we're not qualified to give advice, but I think we kind of look at you guys as like a friend who needs a little bit of friendly advice, and that's what we'd go for. Okay, guys, we're going to come into our vent of the week.
Give us one.
My other half loads the dishwasher incorrectly. That's pissing me off. I have to say, I'm probably the problem in this, but that's one thing I like being on my own is I do it how I want, and as long as it goes in and gets clean.
I mean, look, at least he's making effort,
at least he's loading it.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, that would annoy me.
Right.
Okay, this is the funny one. Vent of the week. I've been potty training my nearly 3-year-old now for the last few weeks. He's been doing really well. But this morning, he decided that he was old enough to not wear his nappy in the middle of the night. He has woken up with shit all over his bed. Nah, brilliant.
For me. Yeah. That's a fan. Right. Should we do an affirmation?
Yeah, let's do an affirmation of the week. I feel like it needs to be... That's got to... Oh, go on. Hit me.
Christmas will be magical because I bring the magic.
I like that. Yeah, just hide it off. I think that's really cute. Christmas will be magical because I bring the magic.
And it doesn't matter how many times you have them. You've got time and you bring the magic.
Yeah, love that. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed the episode. I hope it was helpful. And as always, we appreciate every single listen. Share it to your friends. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, watch us on Instagram and TikTok.
The best Christmas present you can give us is to share.
Yes. Merry Christmas.
Love you all.
Love you. Bye.